What is happening? We are here. This is Robert Plank. We're talking about podcasting, and specifically, we are talking about the number one secret to your business growth, your time management, and expanding your reach. We're going to get into the secrets that they don't want you to know, but I want to hear from you. I want to talk from you. Go into the chat box or the Q&A or whatever the heck it's called and say hi to me and put in your question about podcasting and your mental blocks and your problems, your barriers, or bottlenecks, and we'll do our best to work it in and talk about it and have a lot of fun. And as you can maybe tell, I'm a kind of a technical guy. It's fun to play around and have all the whiz bang switching of the different screens. And just to give you a little bit of a preview, you see I have this kind of a green screen in the background here, and I have all these lights, and I didn't start off with all this fancy gear. I started off with what I had, I showed up how I was, and then incrementally, as I got maybe a little bit bored making videos and putting out podcasts, then I switched around and upped my game and expanded my equipment. And that's what I want for you too. I want you to get some of these initial successes and have fun with your podcasting, with your network, with your content creation, grow your list, grow your following. And then as you see those results, then you can step up and level up and up your game, and whatever buzzword you want to use to describe, just improving as you go along. And one area where I realized I had kind of a wake-up call, I really needed to improve, was this guy that we're seeing on the screen right here. My son was born. And I realized that I just couldn't continue on the way that I was continuing. And maybe you can relate, where you say, I do all these things, I have this list and these customers and this income, and I have these tasks and responsibilities, and then I had to prop this guy up on the screen and hold him in my hand and hold a bottle, and it was just too much to do. And I didn't want to sacrifice the time spent away from this guy, so I had to delegate. I had to build a team. I had to have all these people that I hired to do all these things, like manage some clients' podcasts and post to social media and do the writing and do all the different tasks, because me as just one person, maybe I could do it for a while, but I knew that I could not be consistent about it, and I just could not I knew that things would slip through the cracks and I wouldn't be able to fulfill all these responsibilities. Needed to be more organized, needed to have more of a team. And I want to be your podcast team, and whatever that means for you, because we have some people that we've been speaking to, and I want to pull up one person who couldn't make it, but we still want to mention her, Terry Wurzbacher, who we know her from way back, and she says that I taught her how to be brave, and that it was okay to make a video even if she was nervous and embarrassed. And I go slow enough and teach in a step-by-step fashion. Most people with your success don't do that. You taught us to over-deliver and do it by example. And that's what you should be doing, right? You and me, we're some of the good people. And if you're still in the relatable years or you're still in the scrappy years, people need your help in whatever niche that you're in. And we were talking, there's some people like Paul Bass, and I think Tim Jensen, if I remember correctly. Some of these people have their own podcast clients. And an idea to maybe plan to incept in your head a little bit is for the possibility of you using my team for your podcast clients. So just kind of a little bit of a secret just between us two, but I will allow you to use my podcasting service for your podcasting clients, and I will allow you to even run up to 3 podcasts. So here's an idea for you, is at the end of this webinar, after I tell you some of these podcasting secrets, I'm going to show you our webpage, which is dfypodcast.com. And on that website, and I guess we can even have it on the slide here, on the website, dfypodcast.com, if I point in whichever direction, okay? The price point right now as we're doing this is $3.97. We kind of every now and then, as we add more value, we increase the price. And so an idea for you is we charge $3.97 per month for you to run up to 3 podcasts, as many episodes as you can throw at us. So you have a couple of options. You can say, let me give myself 30 days to make this work. You can say you pay us the $397 per month to run podcasts. You get yourself a client for 400, 500, 600 or more. Maybe even add your own services in there and just use our team. And then while that one client you have pays for itself and then some, then you can work in your own personal podcast, your own business podcast, or even get 3 podcast clients. I really don't care. I don't care how much you use us. I don't care how many episodes your podcast has and how often it is and how many social accounts that we post to. I want to run your podcast and I want to get you unstuck. And we have, for example, Sophie Benchita Maven in the call on the chat, and her brand was getting unstuck. So whenever I think of this term stuck, or getting unstuck specifically, I think of Sophie Benchita Maven. And when you are stuck, well, maybe you want one of these 3 things. You want your business to grow, to do more marketing instead of just the work and the sales. Doesn't it suck to feel like your business is kind of another job and you're trapped, just like putting in the hours, doing the work, and you want to have more of the fun and do more of the promotion and scale and grow? Maybe that involves making better use of your time and delegating and meeting on different appointments so you can focus on high revenue tasks. Imagine if you just had some appointments on your calendar today and you showed up, had some conversations, and then see if you can land some clients, see if you can make a sale in a way that makes sense to you, and just show up for this short bursts of focused productivity and do the things that make money and then get back to whatever it is you need to get back to, family time, etc. Or maybe those things you say, okay, well, it sounds great, right? It sounds great if I could grow my business, and it sounds great if maybe I can manage my time better, but I just need things to be easier. So how can things be easier for you in your business? If they're too hard right now, what's the answer? It's to have a better circle of friends. Imagine if you opened Facebook or you opened LinkedIn and you had a screen full of people who were promoting you. Well, it is possible if your LinkedIn and Facebook friends are people that you've had on your podcast. So I'm getting very, very close now to 1,000 episodes of a podcast, and it's not like I thought of 1,000 ideas of what to talk and pontificate about. I found 1,000 guests. I found 1,000 different experts to have on my show, to ask them some questions, to make them look good. And in exchange, we get this mutually beneficial relationship where I get this expert on my show, I get some content created, but they also get to use my platform to promote what it is that they have. And it doesn't even matter if our show only gets 10 listens or 50 listens or 100 listens or 500 listens, because there is a whole subgroup of business owners out there where they just make it a habit every week to be on at least one podcast. And that includes one of yours. So imagine if someone shows up on your podcast and let's say that it only gets 50 listens. Well, if that's a podcast that's run by me and my team for you, then that's something where we put it out there on all sorts of podcasting platforms. You post it on your social sites so that only 50 listens. That can be 50 listens per week as the show continuously gets promoted. So this person spent 20 minutes meeting you, being on your show, and then every week they get 50 more listens, and still, big deal. But imagine if this person is every week on a different show. So some of these business owners make the rounds, and they're on 30, 50, 100 shows, and they only put in 20 minutes at a time. But then all these different people are promoting them week after week, and probably you stand out from all of them because I've been on many podcasts and just never even seen the episode go live, never even had any kind of follow-up, didn't know what happened, search my name, search their name, and I can't find where the episode ended up. But you use a little bit more of a team, you're a little bit more organized, and my team can make sure that those episodes go live, and that way you are building your network, you are building your circle of friends. And podcasting gives you all of the above, your business growth, your time, and your networking. And I'm here to solve your problems. That should be your business too, right? You have people out there who need their problems to be solved. We have someone like Eric Carter who's good at systematizing your business. We have people who, what's his name? Philip, who he does social media for companies and does their accounting. And so he's in the business of solving people's problems and solving businesses' problems, where without him they're stuck or they're disorganized or it just doesn't make sense, but he can apply his system to make it work. So let's apply some systems, right? And the first thing is, if you say, well, I don't know if my business is on the right track or what I should be doing, then think of it in terms of these buckets, all right? And we'll just breeze through this really quick because I'd rather focus on the podcasting, but we got to get to some of this stuff first, right? And if you have something to interject, put it in the chat box. So your business can be broken down into these 3 buckets. Chat is disabled. Shoot. Well, now we need to enable that chat. So give me a moment. I thought there was like a security. Don't know how to enable the chat. So when doing it on the fly here. So chat, except for okay, so the Q&A is enabled, but not the chat. Okay, so you have to go to the Q&A, not the chat. Understood. So as you're finding that Q&A, your business, you break it down in these buckets. There's marketing and sales. Marketing means all the social posting and the email blasts and the web pages and just all the things you put out there, not just for fun, not just for your health. You make these posts, you put things out there. That way someone will then find your site and then inquire. And then sales are things like when you proactively go out and find people. And so we're flying through the time here and not flying through the content. But basically, there's a site here called LinkedIn that I'm trying to pull up, if we can find LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is, I like to think of it, it's like Facebook, but for more businessy people. Because the problem with Facebook is who's on there? Your friends from high school or people that you don't like too much. But as far as I go on LinkedIn, and here's my inbox, and I just have an inbox full of these sort of sales prospects and all these people that were in different stages of just giving them an offer and getting them walked through. And so I use LinkedIn to land audiobook clients for my wife. I use LinkedIn to land podcasting clients. And when someone goes and looks on my LinkedIn profile, then they see that there are many posts and there's all kinds of networking going on. It doesn't even matter how many likes or comments or things like that some of these posts make. And if you scroll down, some get more than others. But is this a problem for you? Is just not enough activity, just not enough posting and not enough networking? Well, podcasting is your answer. And so I use LinkedIn for the sales aspect to go and like proactively reach out and schedule some of these appointments, some of these sales calls. And that's the thing that you should be doing as well, firing on all cylinders. And so there's marketing and sales, and then there's your product, there's your offer, right? You need to have something to sell. And so you might think of this as like an ebook or a course, but even if you just have some sort of a quickie done-for-you package service, what would you do for $500? If someone said, hey, I see you're an expert in this, I have $1,000 to pay you to improve my business, can I pay you $1,000 in a way that over maybe a year would pay off in my own business for $5,000? What would your answer be? What would your offer be? And then we have the kind of operations side of things. So you have your marketing and sales, right? You have what you're doing out there to get attention. You have your offer, which is what you're being paid for. And then what are you doing to get the gears turning and running the show? We're talking about operations. So what kind of like software do you use and keeping your team organized and what's just running your business? So think about in those sorts of terms, marketing and sales, product and operations. And if you say your business isn't growing, is one of these pieces missing? Is one of these pieces being neglected? Is one of these pieces not having your focus? Well, what you focus on grows. So if you look at all these and you say, you know, I don't really have anything to sell, or I'm doing marketing, which means doing the posting, but I'm not actually following up, not doing sales, well then what do you need to focus on and what do you need to grow? People need encouragement more than they need advice. I have struggled for my entire life with this idea of balancing the teaching and the entertainment and the selling. And here's kind of the statement that distills is, people need encouragement more than they need advice. Does this mean that it's one or the other? Well, heck no. It's not like either I give you advice or I encourage you, but sometimes you need some help of continuing on the path that you're at and not necessarily throwing it out. And you need not just the step-by-step how-to, but also some of that emotional support. And this is kind of something that it took me almost 1,000 podcast episodes to realize when I have this 20-minute long kind of interview with a podcast guest, with an expert. It's not a 20-minute long teaching session. There's little bits of like tips and advice and lessons learned and things like that, but a lot of it is the emotion. A lot of it is the story. A lot of it is just if someone is looking into something like how to publish a book or how to run a podcast or how to run a webinar, and they're listening to a podcast episode about that, then they're just getting kind of their toe dipped in the water. And many times they want to know if the person that is the expert in this is the person that they should just hire to get it done. So like, for example, I have a lot of SEO people on my podcast. If you don't know what SEO is, it means like you have a website and these people will rank you for keywords. They will get you all over the search results, and they will get you all over social media, and they share a little bit of advice, but in 20 minutes they can't teach it all, and they really just want to demonstrate some value to the point where you say, hey, this person I listened to about SEO, search engine optimization, sounds like they know what they're talking about. Let me go to their website and inquire about it. So when we do anything in life, we want to know what the goal is. What are we building to? What's the end result? And so when we have this thing called a podcast, then sure, you can record your own content and demonstrate your own value. But if you use podcasting as a networking tool and have some guests on and have these experts kind of explain a few things for your listeners and prove they know what they're talking about, then the goal for that, the next step, is not for you as the listener necessarily like take all this action and do all these things yourself. Maybe you can take some initial action yourself, but the real goal is to then, for that listener to then contact your expert guest. That's why they're there, to grow their business. And they do that by doing this blend of encouragement and advice. Of course, you don't want to have 0% advice, but you need more encouragement than advice because people need encouragement more than they need advice. Now, podcasting is your foot in the door strategy, because with podcasting, like I said, almost 1,000 episodes, and there are many people out there where if you just contact some prospects and spam them, then you're going to have put in a lot of work and not get a lot of results. And so when you do this thing called podcasting interviews, you kind of get your foot in the door in a lot of ways. So imagine if you had a, say if you were like Walter Montero, one of our favorite people, and he has a podcast called I Love Cambridge, and it's a local podcast in his small town. And one thing that I asked him to do in the past is to contact just all the businesses in town. It might take a few weeks with a team, but it doesn't take that long. You go to Yelp, go to Yellow Pages, and just all the restaurants and the professionals and the lawyers, accountants, you make a list and you contact them. You contact them not to push something on them or sell them, but you contact all the lawyers in town and say, hey, can I interview you for a podcast? Can you get on a Zoom with me just like this? And we see each other on screen, and I just ask you about what makes you and your company unique, and where have you struggled, and what kinds of stories and lessons and insights do you have for us? And that is your foot in the door strategy, because now just in a quick 20-minute session, now someone will never forget you. Or maybe if they do forget you, it'll take like 10 or 20 years and they'll still have that little memory of you. So you think about what's the best use of 20 minutes. Well, some people will say, 20 minutes, I'll revise the perfect email, or I'll tweak my ads. 20 minutes, you can actually meet a person, have a conversation, record it, and then now you have just a really good first impression, where they've met you as someone who can help them with their platform, and now they know you as some kind of internet marketer, local marketer, SEO specialist, whatever, and then now you know them because you've had this kind of conversation. Now you think about the people that you can interview on your podcast. You think about your past mentors, your past heroes, your current customers. If you want your customers to sit up and pay more closer attention to you and more what you do, I'd be totally fine having anyone who is a attendee on this webinar on my podcast. And I have a super long to-do list of people I need to have on my podcast. Anyone that, like I said earlier, my wife narrates audiobooks, and we have, I think, 125 different audiobook customers like that I've had maybe like 10 on my podcast, but they all need to be on my podcast. All of these monthly podcast clients that I need to have them on my podcast. Now, why is that? Well, because it's great that it promotes them, but the real reason why, my selfish reason, is because I want to have a deeper relationship with that customer, and for me to be like the last person that they ever cancel on or stop paying. I want them to pay me monthly and pay me forever by getting this foot in the door. So think about for yourself of what can you do to get your foot in the door, but at the same time, be aware of the stories you tell yourself. I didn't have this revelation until I ran a club. I don't know if you know what Toastmasters is, but it's like people go and they like practice their speaking skills, right? And they might do a presentation or tell a story. It's good for a webinar or a podcast person to do. And we had trouble getting people to attend. And I asked one guy who he attended every week and stopped attending this club. And I said, why can't you attend our club anymore? You used to come every week. You don't attend anymore. And he said, here's the answer why I can't attend their club meeting. I get off work, I come home, I kick the dog, I feed the dog, I turn on TV, I change clothes, and he was just telling me some story. He didn't actually have a logical answer. He just had the story in his head of why he couldn't do something. So what stories are you telling yourself? Why can't you do something? Do you tell yourself, oh, well, I don't know what to say in a podcast, or I don't have the microphone, or I don't like the way I look? Just show up as you are, have this conversation, get the data, get the proof, get the evidence, and then you can judge. I mean, so many people, if you tune into any YouTube or any podcast, it's just a regular person just like you. They're not super fancy, and you're just telling yourself a story of why you can't do it. So beware of the stories you tell yourself, and if your story is holding you back, then what motivation such as this can get you out of your rut and off of your laurels and get you to take action? And so you need to have better goal setting. What are your goals? What are you working on today? Do you have goals? A lot of people don't have goals, or their goals are bad, or they don't take them seriously. And you need to have these goals. So is your goal to put out one podcast episode? Is your goal to contact 20 prospects today? Is your goal to record a video, send an email? What are your goals? Because if you don't have a goal, then you have no idea if you've hit it or not. But if you do have a goal and you don't make that goal, then that's a smaller gap to jump across. So what are your goals, and are your goals smart? Are they simple? So can you state it in one sentence? Are they measurable? Can you see if you've accomplished that goal or not? Are they actionable? Which means, is it something that you can actually like proactively do yourself, not just waiting around for something? Is it relevant? So does it relate to everything else in your business? And is it time bound? Do you have an actual deadline, an actual time and date when you will have all of this done? So we're getting into just like what's your business about, and your goal setting and your time management, all the things that are happening in your head, because the how to, the software, the how it gets done is not as important as you just having a good attitude. And so time management. How do you make sure you have enough time? Well, it's the difference. First of all, prioritize. So you never have enough time in the day. You'll never have enough time to do everything that you want to get done. And if you're one of these people that says, oh, I'll wait until there is time, it never happens. You won't have enough time. You won't get more time. The time to do it is now. So whatever this big, long to-do list is, probably 90% isn't important. What is important? Well, me personally, I think that you getting me and hiring a podcast team, that way you can focus on your networking and your content and your marketing, that's more what I think is important. But prioritize. What are your top 3 things to do this week? And what's important versus what's urgent, right? Urgent means it has to be done now, but important means it actually is significant and moves the needle. And there's this thing on the screen here called the Eisenhower Square, where if something is important and urgent, do it now, can be done quickly. If something is, if it's not important and not urgent, then don't do it at all. Delete it. It's not important and it's not urgent. Now, if something is urgent, but it's not important, right? So it needs to be done now, but it maybe shouldn't be done by you, then delegate it, have someone else do it. And if it's something that's important but not urgent, it needs more time, come back to it. So just think about that and what is not worthy of your time at all, and then versus what is worthy of your time, sort it out into what of these squares does it go into, so that way you can better tackle it. And then have a task list, not a to-do list, because to-do list means I'll do it when I get to it. And we don't want that. We want to take some action. So have this list of things that you want to do, and be careful of the personal stories you tell yourself, because you always think you don't have enough time or you can't get to it. So it's time to rewrite your story. And so this is sort of like what my task list looked like this week. And so I have a Google document and I just have some bullet points, and if there's something I need to do, I just kind of type it down. And I definitely have on this list, there's like a top 4 things that are the most important. But if I had to do something, I just say, what do I have to do? I'll go right there and I type it out. And see how they're mostly like actions, right? Like I'll paste this in, I'll write this, I'll create this, I'll send this. And I see too many people when they have their task list, it's all this abbreviated, or it's like 1 or 2 words, and you can even just tell by looking at it that they're not serious about taking these actions. And I kind of just write down like 2 or 3, and then as I do them, I write down 2 or 3 more, so I don't make like a list of 100, because I know I'll never get to it, right? And if you have 100 things and you cross out 2 and there's 98 left, that's not fun. And then when I do these things, I highlight them in Google Documents, and then I kind of change the font so that way it's a strike through. And so that way I don't just delete the things I've done, I can see what I've done. And then if I have those low self-esteem days where I'm like, did I really do anything that's important? And I go and look and I leave this list here and there's all these things crossed out. I'm like, okay, I feel better. I've blown past those not work guilties, and I know that I did something that was important. So I want to switch gears and switch back for a second. We had Fred put in a question there about the podcast service. So we're going to jump into his question and then jump right back in the presentation. So our website is dfypodcast.com. And then we go here to this podcast production button. And these are the details about running the podcast. And Fred's question is that we say that there's unlimited podcasts per month, but we produce 1 podcast at a time. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if you say you have 20 podcasts and you want us to get them all produced, add music, schedule, write the podcast notes, put it on your social platforms, put it on your website, then we'll get to that 1 at a time. So that means if you have like 20 episodes for us, it might take us 20 days or might take us 10 days. So there is a little bit of a delay between us kind of going through and doing all that work. But the amount of work that you want to dump on us is totally fine, and we'll get to it as fast as we can. So we'll just like get the podcast content you dump on us. There's kind of a little bit of a back and forth where we have to say like, okay, do you approve these episodes? Are these titles good? Or is it these graphics look okay? And what we do is we set you up in, this is like a chat room. This is called a Slack channel. And what happens is Donna here? So she's registered for this call, but she's not here. So what happens is like Donna will say, here's a Google link, and here's a video for you. And she'll give us like a raw Zoom recording. And then sometimes, depending on what and this is why the chat room works great, because depending on how you want to do it, you might say, just schedule my shows every Monday and Friday. Or in Donna's case, she said, well, hey, I have this specific schedule, and on these specific dates for these recordings I gave you, I want you to schedule them. And so you think about how this is more like boss level tasks for you, right? You say, here team, here employees, here are my video recordings. I want you to put them out on these dates, and then that way you're not the one that has to figure out the software. And then what happens is our team comes back and says, hey, all you had to do was show up for these recordings, and we'll make these graphics, or this is a 57-second video that can be posted on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. We say here are some graphics for you. And so that's just what comes back. And so to answer your question, Fred, we produce unlimited podcast episodes per month, and the only bottleneck is you. The only bottleneck is we'll publish and produce your episodes, and then we'll show them to you, and you tell them, okay, looks great, move on to the next episode. But other than that, unlimited podcasts, so you can publish a show as fast or as slow as you want. I actually DJ'd for a podcast a couple of years ago where we put out 2 episodes per day because they had so many guests, and he made all the traffic and everything like that work. So some people are up to some crazy feats with podcasting. It's not just once a week or once a month. It can be whatever the heck rules that you want your show to be. You can have an hour podcast, a 10-minute podcast. It just matters on the difference is what works for your personality and what are you putting out there and what makes sense for you. But beware of the stories you tell yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy. Don't tell yourself that you need to be just like these other podcasters, or because someone else has accomplished something, you can't do it. You can do it. I believe in you. Here's the encouragement phase of things. Beware of those stories that you tell yourself, because you can do it, and it won't happen overnight, but you need to get started somehow. You need to record a podcast episode somehow. Otherwise, you're running out of time. And we both know that you've thought about having a podcast, you've thought about posting on social media, you thought about networking. And what's great about having a podcast is you're on so many different platforms, so many different areas. So for example, do you know this site called audible.com? This is Amazon's just audiobook platform. But if someone searches, I'm not sure if me searching my name is the best example. So if we search my name on Audible, there's like a bunch of audiobooks and things like that. But also there's podcast results, right? So sometimes you think of Audible as like a audiobook platform, but then let's try podcast show as well. So here's my podcast on Audible. And so there's this Daniel Viduya and Alan Stein Jr. and Peter Schroeder. And so these are all podcast episodes. And so if I search, say, like Alan Stein, that's an easy thing, right? So this guy, Alan Stein, literally all he did was he just had to show up, and it doesn't show up for the podcast. I don't know. Okay, maybe I do Alan Stein Jr. Well, the point is that, let me try Daniel Viduya. Daniel Viduya. I'm not sure why that is. Okay, well, anyway, the point is that on Audible, you have audiobooks, but you also have podcasts. And if I click on View All, see, there's all these hundreds of episodes right here on Audible. And so you might say, well, so what? It's just some podcast episodes on a web page. Well, this all ranks SEO-wise, right? So Sam Torres and Steve Ferran and Raman Segal and Dylan Van Ness. And so if you just have your name out there and you post on Facebook or Twitter or X or whatever, it won't even be in the search engines at all, right? You make a post on social, doesn't really get indexed. You make a blog post, sure, that kind of gets indexed, but you show up on a podcast, it appears in all these places, and the ace in the hole for Audible is smart speakers. So if someone has an Alexa device and they say play Marketer of the Day podcast, they say play a podcast with Christoph's Brain Cans, then their smart speaker, if it's an Amazon, it'll play one of these on Audible. If they have a Google Home, then it will play a podcast from Google Podcasts. and so on. And if they talk to their iPhone, their Siri phone, then it will play from Apple Podcasts. And so just by being on YouTube, now you're on all those other platforms, right? All these other ways for people to find you. And if I'm a serious buyer, if I'm looking into weight loss or my finances, or I'm looking for an accountant or a lawyer in my city, in my local area, if I'm looking for an estate planner in Syracuse, New York, imagine if you were looking into some of these things and what shows up as a podcast search result. If I'm seriously looking into, like, is this the person I want to hire? What can this person tell me? Then I want to listen to a podcast. And so podcasts appear on YouTube, right? I have this YouTube channel, and you should as well. And your YouTube channel should contain the interviews that you run for your podcast. And when you search, when you look on someone who is on YouTube, one of my favorite podcast guests is this guy, Chris Miles. And again, comparison is the thief of joy, because it's easy to look at a bunch of people that post on YouTube and say, oh, they have like 100,000 views. But this guy, Chris Miles, he has 53 views, 100 views, 400 views. So he's in the hundreds. And it doesn't matter if YouTube or Facebook or whoever is stingy with the clicks and the views, because he puts out enough content. And so I have my YouTube channel, and some videos get more views than others. But if you look here, some of my videos get 78,000 views, 46,000 views. So it's a matter of the quantity leads to quality. And then if you just make one post and one podcast episode and one YouTube or one Facebook post, and you say, oh no, I didn't get the likes I wanted, because you have to post daily, or at least consistently. Now, if you're always trying to figure out some new video to record or some new thing to make for social media, you're running out of ideas, you're running out of time. You won't have time to do everything that you need to. But if you have guests, they create the content for you, and then you have basically unlimited content. Plus, you kind of have almost like the promotion is built in, because they use their network to help promote you. And so we'll pull up LinkedIn again real quick. And like, I don't even care about the numbers that much. But if I look at my LinkedIn notifications, then I have people like, see this Raul Hernandez Ochoa just reshared my post. So what post was that? Well, it's this, where it's just like alerting people about the episode. And if I click and look at what, and so this guy has 6,900 followers, and if I look at his posts, then we have, well, see, he's on other shows, so he has some of these video clips. And then somewhere in here, maybe he hasn't shared them all yet, but see, like this guy, he's on podcasts all the time. And he posts and shares these video clips and these graphics. And so we create all these different, they're called social quotes, we call them. And so if I pull up this special folder, we have social graphics. Pulling it up, we just have this huge folder of all this social media content. Make it a little bigger. And you see how like these are all different guests on my show, and they all have like different fun quotes. And if you go on Facebook or LinkedIn, you see this all over the place, right? You have people where there's all these different guests from a show and all these different quotes. And all these different guests have their own network. They all have thousands of followers. And so if you just post something on social media and they like it, well, are people just going to share the fun content that you have just for the sake of, just for the heck of it? Well, maybe not. But if someone is your friend on LinkedIn or Facebook, and they see that you have posted about them and something really smart and clever that they said, then it seems way more likely that that person would reshare it to their own network. And it's not just a one-time deal. They show up for your show for 20 minutes, you have their recording, you post it to YouTube, you post it to social media, you post it to these podcast platforms we showed you, such as Audible, but you can keep on doing that. You can add these graphics and these video clips to the rotation, and maybe this guy, Dr. Jeff Barnes, Dr. Disneyland, maybe I could post another graphic of something he said maybe once a month. Or think about this. If I have more high-profile guests, I can post their content more often, or if there's someone that I want to land as a client or impress, or someone that has a bigger following, or someone that just always reshares. Maybe I could optimize my own algorithm for that. Everyone's talking about the Google algorithm or the Facebook algorithm. What about your algorithm, right? What about what you're optimizing for? What about what you like? So if you have these friends on social media and they do the things that hit your goals, which is they like your post, they reshare your post, then maybe you can reward those people and post more of the content involving them. Just what a concept. Anyway, let's talk real quick as we're winding down about maybe the reasons why you can't do this, or the stories you tell yourself why you can't do this, right? And I know that for me, a bunch of years ago, I was just like, okay, well, how do I interview people? Like, isn't it so awkward? Well, yeah, for a couple of seconds, but who cares? But they want to be there, right? It's not a blind date. These people, I'm sure that they've probably been on other podcasts before you, and even if their podcast is the first one that they've ever been on and they're on your show, it really doesn't matter, because you kind of ask the same questions. You ask someone, what's your current passion and how are you unique? And I guarantee if you personally, I'm speaking to you directly on the webinar, if you were on my show, if I was interviewing you for my podcast, I'd ask you this. What is your current passion and how are you unique? And I guarantee that someone like Paul Bass, who gets published in a magazine, who does this religious work, who helps you with podcasts, I'm sure he has more than a few things that he's passionate about that, like, he tries to tell his wife or his kids or his friends and they don't get it. But guess what? Now you met me and now I get it, and now I want you to just, it's your show. This is your time to just talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you want, and tell me what you're passionate about. What problem out there makes you really angry? Don't just think about, well, what are some steps and what are some tips? What can I solve? No, what's the conflict? What do you see that it's just so badly done out there with online video, with posting to TikTok? What makes you really angry? You see people just totally missing the point, and there's a better way to do it, and now there's a little bit of drama in your answer. When have you failed? And this is great because this gives relatability. This throws in a before and after, right? It's so easy to say, oh, I'm a multi-millionaire and I have 100,000 followers, but who cares about that? You're just bragging. But if you say, 5 years ago, I was really struggling and I was just really depressed, down in the dumps, couldn't get this problem solved. Well, now there's some mystery, some intrigue, some story. There's a little bit of a roller coaster. There's your origin story, your hero's journey, whatever you want to call it. Tell me about this time in the past where you failed, you struggled, and it's okay because you're sharing your scars, not your wounds. Right? So if someone says, oh, I'm bleeding out of my arm, maybe we don't want to be around that. But if someone says, hey, check out this scar, this is where I was bleeding out of my arm 5 years ago, that's a more interesting story because we know it worked out, we know it's okay, and because you're not disqualifying yourself, right? You're not decreasing in value. You say, well, past me decreased in value, but I'm giving value to you because I'm telling you how I went through all of the struggles. I ask, can you share me a success story or a case study? Can you tell me about someone that you've helped out with a problem? That way, again, you're not bragging about yourself, you're bragging about someone else. So for example, with this podcasting thing, there is a chiropractor in San Diego that signed up with us a couple of months ago. And he's interviewed, I think his most high profile guest is Robert Kennedy Jr. If you know who that is, If you love this guy or hate this guy, he's kind of a controversial figure. He's a politician. He's a senator, I believe. He runs for president. I think he might be running for president now. But he was a guest on this chiropractor's podcast. And so if this chiropractor had to figure out how to run his chiropractic business and get these guests and market the guests, he wouldn't have time to do anything else. But because he has us in his team, then that makes a lot more sense for him. We have another guest who interviews 7-figure millennials and other types of people. And he's had, I think I saw he had Stephen Covey on the other day. And I think he had James Clear, and he just has like these really high profile guests. And so that's the kind of thing where if you can share me a success story, again, people need encouragement more than they need advice. And sometimes they just need to know that this is possible, that what you've done or what you've helped someone else do, that they can do. And then I ask, now we can work in the teaching, right? Now I ask, what's your number one piece of advice? Don't give me the whole encyclopedia, just like if someone was wanting to get started or save a mistake you've made, what's the number one piece of advice? What just jumps out at you as far as what's number one? Podcasting, just get your first episode done. Just get your first recording done. Now, and then, how can someone connect with you, and how do they know that they are a proper fit of, hey, get my head out of the way? So you're not just there on a podcast to look smart and teach. You're there for a reason, which is to get to your goal, which is your recording ends up in all these places. And someone who is your future ideal client finds you talking on a YouTube video or a smart speaker or something. And then now it's time for what's called the call to action, right? You demonstrated value, now take some action. And so this is where my guest plugs their website. And this is where my guest kind of disqualifies the people that are not ideal and qualifies the people that are. So for example, I keep going back to that search engine optimization example. I have these people that they work with like huge businesses. Like if you're like Shell Gas or Coca-Cola, they want to run all the search rankings for Coca-Cola. And so if you're just like, even if you're a decent sized business, they don't want you. And so what they do is they kind of say like, here's the top tier, here's what we want as our paying customers. And if you're below that, we have all this free information, right? You can go to our YouTube, go to our website, read our blog posts and get all this information, but we want to work with like this top tier of people. So people might say, we want to, if your business is a certain size, if you're making $20 million a year, if you have 100 employees, if you're in this space. So some of these SEOs only will work with you if you're an attorney. And so this way they can kind of say specifically who they're looking for. And it's a little bit of a risk, right? Niching down and increasing your price point. But this way, if someone says, oh, that's me, I am an attorney, I do make $20 million a year, I do have 100 employees, then they can run, not walk, to this person's website and go and sign up and book a call and all those other things. So think about this for this template, right? If you're the kind of person that's afraid of doing these Zoom blind dates and having a podcast show, maybe think about asking these questions. You don't have to ask these exact questions, but this is kind of what the template that sits in my head as far as I want to start off with like the attention getter questions on top there you see. And then when we further get along, we kind of sneak in the medicine and we sneak in the teaching. And then once we've moved past that, we say, now it's time to go to this person's website. And then we cap it all off by saying, what advice do you wish you had received 10 years ago? And by doing that, we end up with something kind of profound and lasting, and it's a good place to end things. And if we spoke past that, we going backwards, right? Because now we're talking about the future and talking about the big ideas. If we go back and try to teach some step by step, it doesn't make any sense. So this is a good way to cap the conversation. And so this is just the format, the template, and we do a little bit of improvising. We have a conversation and we ask the fun, emotional questions. And that way it's not a job interview. It's not just a teaching session. And then we have a mix and we have a lot of fun. And so Tim Jensen says he hates the enemies of privacy. He loves privacy. He likes when the data is contained and compartmentalized, and when you go to a site and the site cookies you and they know all your history. he gets angry about that, and many others get angry about that. And so that is a good just answer for that sort of question. And maybe even think about what are your answers to these questions, because my goal for you is for you to be on podcasts, which is something that we can get to in a minute here. Podcasting is about you having these guests where you make them look smart, and then by osmosis, you look like a smart person for finding them. You have this one-on-one conversation for 20 minutes, and then you promote your guests forever. You rank for their name, right? I have had Tim Jensen on my show. It was a bunch of years ago. We talked about Amazon. So if you Google search Tim Jensen, I show up somewhere. On my website, on these podcast platforms, he's on my YouTube channel. So you can rank for other people's names, for their keywords, for their brands, for their trademarks, and it is 100% legal, and it is 100% ethical, and it is 200% welcomed because you're promoting them. It's not just like you hijack someone else's brand, you're ranking for their company name, or if they're like Kansas City SEO specialist, you're ranking for them because the search result is your conversation with them. So like everyone wins, and I'm sure that they rank for all kinds of other ranking keywords, but you're in the mix as well, and you get some of their runoff, but then they also, instead of them maybe ranking for like 50 different things, maybe they rank in like 500 places, and it all funnels back into their site. So are you starting to get it? Are you starting to get how the real players in internet marketing work, where it's not just them playing around with software and clicking buttons, but they're also networking and using other people's platforms? So think about the vendors, authors, podcast hosts, app creators, influencers, your customers, friends, prospects, multipliers, or the people that you just want more access to who can and should be on your podcast. People you meet at networking events. How many times, is there someone from like 10 years ago that you met at some conference one time and you never talked to them again? Well, if you had them on your podcast, if you added them on social media, if you had that recording, if you published that recording, if you posted all these graphics and clips with them, if you tagged them, if they reshared it, if you messaged them and said, here's these graphics, here's these videos, here's this email that copy and paste to your list, do you think you would have stayed in contact with that person from 10 years ago? Well, it's way more than likely than if you just met in passing, and then later that weekend they met 50 other people just like you. This is the way that you stand out. And you gobble up the universe of all these people that you can and should be speaking with and talking to. So where are you stuck? With your business growth, with your time management, with your networking, or all of the above? Well, the answer to all of the above is podcasting. This is the solution to all three of these problems. So more case studies, right? We have this lady who's a wedding officiant. She's officiated over 4,000 weddings, and she's all about ranking for the SEO keywords so that way if someone is looking for a wedding officiant and they want one fast because she lives in Las Vegas, she's all over the place. And here's what happens is that she gives us her content, and then we give her these clips that we create for her to post on her social channel. She says it's okay. We post it on her social channel. Here's this other client we have, Matt Boudreau. I don't even know how to say his name when he's my client. That's okay because he says his name for me. And what happens is he actually has his own employee who interfaces with us. So this is something else to think about. If you have your own team, you have your own virtual assistant. Matt Boudreau does this. Or a chiropractor, doctor friend does this, a couple of other people do that, where they have their person who does all kinds of administrative tasks for their business, just goes on our chat room and deals with the minutia with us. So any way we fit into your organization, we can work with that. And then the idea is for you to then have all this content, all this social posting, so that way you have this group of friends that reshare your content of them, that like and comment and all that cool stuff, because you didn't just stay in a vacuum, you didn't just stay in a box, you networked, you podcasted, you had these conversations. The master plan is for you to create your podcast and some starter content, even a 1 episode or 3 quick episodes, contact your inner circle for interviews, meet ask questions, promote their site, say bye, and then our team will produce, upload, and market it forever on your channels. And then now the ball's in your court. You put your foot in the door, you can follow up with them for coaching services, affiliate promotions, speaking opportunities. I've gotten speaking opportunities just from seeing there was an event, contacting the person running the event saying, can I have a speaking slot? And you know what? If you know the person, if they've been on your podcast, then that is someone that will actually respond to you and listen to you. And I've gotten, over the past 2.5 years, I've gotten all kinds of podcasting customers. I've gotten people buying my books, buying my courses, buying audiobooks from my wife Katie, because I first met them by doing a podcast. And otherwise, they would not have given me the time of day. If I said, can I run your podcast? Can my wife narrate your book? I'm just some spammer. But if they know me, I'm some friend that they already have a connection with that is speaking with them. And then guess what? Get on their podcast. The best person for you to have, there's no bad person for you to have on your podcast, but it's really good if you can get a podcaster on your podcast. They already know how to have the conversation. They already know what you're talking about. And once they've been on your show, now you can say, well, can I be on your show in exchange? So it's all about this building friendships and networking. And we want to make this easy for you and do the technical stuff at Done For You Podcasting. Unlimited podcasts per month. We'll do all the noise cancellation and all that, add music, add whatever clips you want, schedule to your podcast hosts, take out the ums, write SEO notes for each episode, name your show if that's something you need, create these social graphics we've showed, write the tweets, write the email blasts, submit your show to 25 podcasting directories like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Just by having a podcast, now you can appear on different platforms where otherwise you might have just been on Bing or Google or YouTube, but now you can be in all these specifically podcast platforms. And for example, Eric Carter, he's on one of my podcast shows because we interviewed him to be in a book, which I have over in the closet over there with Eric on the cover. And in recording that book chapter together, we had the audio recording and put it out there on a podcast. So Eric Carter and myself are linked forever as well. And so any kind of communication platform that you have, if you have an autoresponder, if you have a LinkedIn, if you have a Facebook, give us the username and password and we'll log in and we'll post it for you. That way, if you say, I don't email my list enough or I don't post on Facebook enough, give us a password. Our people will log in. Our people will do it. It's $3.97 a month. Cancel anytime. Try us out for a month. And then kind of the hush-hush bonus secret that you mentioned earlier was that you can run up to 3 podcasts. So if you have 3 podcasts of your own, if you have a client podcast plus your podcast or 3 client podcasts, you can run up to 3 podcasts, as many episodes as you can throw at us. We just want to make it easy for you. We want you to be the person that shows up to the podcast and then that's it. And then that way we put it out there, we put out the music, put it on your social platforms. And that way, it can just be a situation like this. You go to the chat room, and then my team leader, Al, as pictured here, says, hey, here are your graphics. Are these okay to post to social? Or you can hand them off to your guests or put them on your own schedule. Wouldn't it be great if we were sort of a chat GPT for podcasting where you just say, hey, here's my recording, here's what I want, and we come back to it with you. So when we set you up at dfypodcast.com, we connect you in our Slack chat room. You can communicate with us. We set up your podcasting accounts. You give us whatever passwords we need to like your YouTube or WordPress, wherever you want us to post for you. We give you these sort of cover graphics to choose from. So if there's a decision to be made, we'll give you like 2 or 3 choices and say, hey, can you just pick one to make it as easy and fast as possible for you? And we can write your intro or have someone narrate it. And the goal for us working together is to publish your first episode as soon as possible. Just show up, record on your phone, your Zoom, or your computer. Click on everything has like a paperclip icon now, right? Click on the paperclip in our chat room, attach the video or audio file. You can give us, you can say, I recorded this today, publish it. Or if you're someone like I think Brad Miller likes to say, here's a pile of them and schedule them once per week. Any way you want to do it, just give us the episodes. If it's and so we have a few clients where they said, make a spreadsheet for me, or here's my spreadsheet. We can work with that if some organization is required. So that way you can get your focus back on those boss level activities. I'm trying to pull up because if you're not careful, then you will be just buried in the work. So this, for example, is one of the podcasts that we run. And we have like SEO titles and links and timestamps and quotes and summaries and emails. Imagine if you had to do all this. And if you're not doing all this, then you're behind. And if you are doing this, then you're way too busy. So it makes a lot more logical sense just to have me and my team do it for you so you can get back on what matters most, which is running your business. And what's the cliche from the E-Myth? To work on your business, not in your business. Don't just build yourself another job. Don't just be your own employee because, man, if you're your own employee, you're the worst employee you've ever had because that person's crazy. So get back to being the boss, not the employee. Let me and my team be your employee. 10 heads are better than one. DFYpodcast.com. And this way you can meet people where they're at, speak to their fears, get some interesting stories, be yourself, be authentic, no matter how weird or simple it is for you. Have your podcast and just show up. We'll put you on YouTube, we'll give you tweets, promo emails, etc. DFYpodcast.com. Here's everything that we do it for you. $397 per month. Go there right now. Go to DFYpodcast.com. We'll put it in the chat area. DFYpodcast.com. Whoops. And it didn't link it correctly or anything like that. So DFYpodcast.com/production is actually the easiest place to go. There we go, on the bottom there, DFYpodcast.com. And let's get this thing started. Try me out for 1 month. Run your podcast. Get the network that you know that you want to grow. Get to all the things that you know that you've wanted to get to, like your podcast actually out there, on Audible, on YouTube, posting your social platforms consistently. DFYpodcast.com. Go ahead, do it right now. We'll see you there. Thanks for showing up to this Zoom. But the next logical step, don't just give up right now. You've come all this way. Start that conversation with me. DFYpodcast.com. We'll talk to you very soon. DFY Podcast, and bye for now.